Welcome to 4x4 Australia's 4x4 of the Year Award for 2022. This award's been running for 38 years now, and after all this time we decided we'd mix it up a bit. Not only are we looking at the vehicles that were significant and just released in the last 12 months, but we brought in some other models, cars that have won it over recent years and are still current. Cars that are significant and cars that we think are worth the contention. Not only that, but we've gone back to where it all began. Back in the early 80s, they used to have two awards. There was one for cars over $30,000 and one for cars under 30 grand. You're not going to get much for under 30 grand these days. For 2022, we're awarding two 4x4 of the Year titles, one for Best Ute and one for Best Wagon. For testing's sake, we're splitting that wagon category into price points, above $100,000 and below $100,000. Just makes it easier for us when we're jumping between vehicles, driving them all in one price point. The Utes, they can stand in their own category on their own. From these 18 cars behind me here now, we're going to take the top two cars from each of those three categories. They're going to be our finalists. We're going to take them into the Outback to see how they perform and pick out two winners. So here we are at the AARC Proving Ground in Victoria, ready to get into the testing. Come on guys, let's get into it.
The Toyota Hilux has long been Australia's favourite 4x4 ute, but it's been facing a lot of tough competition lately, particularly from the likes of Ford with its Ranger 4x4. In 2020, they gave it a freshen up, they gave it more power and torque. It now makes 150 kilowatts of power and 500 newton metres. And that 500 newton metres seems to be the magic number that you need in the 4x4 ute class in this country. The upgrades must have really worked because this vehicle surprised the 4x4 of the Year judges last year, and it actually took out the crown, it took out the title. It'll be interesting to see if Hilux can back up last year's performance and take out the win in 2022.
Well, this ISUZU D-Max has been with us just under 2 years now, and just like the previous model, it's proven to be a reliable and capable workhorse, as well as a solid off-roader now, thanks to the factory included rear diff lock. With these inclusions though, and much like the MUX, you are paying a lot more for this model. The question I want to know the answer to though, is can the D-Max keep up with the Hilux and the Ranger, which are the other most popular dual cabs on the market today?
When Jeep re-entered the mid-size pickup market, they reintroduced the Gladiator nameplate, which had been missing for a couple of generations. This time they've applied it to a Wrangler-based vehicle. They've made it a truck by incorporating some Ram truck technology into the back end, just the way they've designed the rear suspension to carry a bit more of a load. Even though it's not up to the capacity of some of our popular utes in Australia, like the Ranger, the Hilux, Navara and others like that. But in a Jeep way of doing things, they've made this thing super off-road capable. This Rubicon model has locking diffs front and rear, a disconnecting front sway bar for more off-road articulation, super low gears in both the transfer case and the final drives, and you add that to its BF Goodrich mud terrain tyres that come standard, it's an off-road weapon.
This is Australia's best-selling 4x4 ute, the Ford Ranger. It's built on an Australian-developed T6 platform, and it's an absolute ripper of a platform. It's a great thing to drive. The model we have here is a mid-spec XLT variant. This particular version is powered by the 2-litre 4-cylinder bi-turbo diesel engine. It makes 157 kilowatts of power and 500 newton metres of torque, which is class competitive. It's a comfortable vehicle to drive, it works well on the road, it works well off the road. And considering the fact that the Hilux took out last year's 4x4 of the Year, there's no reason the Ford Ranger can't take it out this year.
3 years ago, Ford's Ranger Raptor won our 4x4 of the Year award, and it's set the market on fire ever since. Even so, it's still a polarising vehicle because some people think it doesn't do all the things a ute should. Because of its off-road focused suspension, its towing and payload capacities are compromised. It doesn't tow 3,500 kilos like a normal Ranger would. But that off-road suspension makes it better in all conditions, whether you're belting through Baja, heading through the bush, or just driving around town. It's better in all conditions. It was a deserving winner back then, and it could win again in 2022.
Volkswagen AMAROK is an ageing platform in the dual cab sector, but thanks to a partnership with Walkinshaw Performance, this W580 AMAROK has new life breathed into it. We've got a fancy new interior with some lovely seats, some swish-looking alloy wheels, and some aggressive all-terrain tyres. But with these upgrades, is it enough to be considered the four-wheel drive of the year for 2022?
In 2021, Nissan took its Navara range to the gym, muscled it up, give it a brawnier look. They've adapted this big, bold front end, taking it from the Titan pickup in the USA, higher body lines all the way down, really muscular looking car now. The steel bumper, made in Melbourne, is also winch compatible, so you can put the factory accessory worn winch in there. That's part of the Premcar package, which you get on the Warrior. Premcar is an engineering firm in Melbourne. They went right over this car, giving it new springs and shocks, wider wheel track with big off-road tyres, perfect for getting out and about no matter where you want to go. Nissan has now delivered a Navara that straight off the showroom floor you can take anywhere in Australia.
2021 saw the introduction of this new ISUZU MUX. And when I say new, I really mean it, because this has been designed from the ground up with the new chassis, new body, the motor and transmission's been borrowed from the D-Max, but you're getting 7 seats with this. You're also getting things like rough terrain mode, which is an advanced traction control system that should get you further off-road. We're here to see if this model's much better than the previous MUX. It's sure got a lot more tech, but you're certainly paying a lot more money for the privilege. Is the ISUZU MUX a worthy contender for 4-wheel drive of the year?
Like many mid-size 4x4 wagons on the market, the Pajero Sport is based on its ute sibling, which in this case is the Triton. In the case of Pajero Sport, there's a 2.4 litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine in there, and while it's not quite up to the task of matching its competitors in power and torque, it works pretty well because it's matched to an 8-speed automatic transmission. The other compelling argument, it's covered by a 10-year, 200,000 kilometre warranty. Pretty hard to say no, I reckon.
The next contender for 4-wheel drive of the year 2022 is this SSANGYONG REXTON. Now it comes at about $48,000, and for that money you get 7 seats, a 3.5-tonne towing capacity, and a massive 7-year warranty, which is one of the best in the industry. Now while all that sounds great on paper, what we're here today to find out is how does this perform as a 4-wheel drive? Because if it's no good off-road, what's the point? It's just a comfy vehicle with some niceties inside. We want to find out how this performs off-road and if it's any good in the Aussie bush.
The Toyota Prado has just about been Australia's favourite mid-size 4x4 wagon since the original model was launched back in the late 1990s. This latest version has got the same 2.8 litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine that's used in the latest HILUX, and that means it makes 150 kilowatts of power and 500 newton metres of torque. The thing works really well on the road now, much better than it did before, and it still works really well off the road. So there's no wonder that it's still a family favourite.
What we're looking at right here is the Ford Everest Titanium. Now you probably already know this, it's based off the Ford Ranger, a ute-based wagon. It's a 7-seater that's both very comfortable on-road and very capable off-road. It's $80,000 nearly though, so for that money, considering how tight this field is, this needs to be exceptional, not just good. Now I can't wait to head out bush and see how this thing really performs.
The Y62 Patrol has been on the market for some time now, but as you can see, it's recently had a styling makeover. And that styling makeover must have worked because in 2021, this vehicle sold more units than it has in the history of being on the Australian market. At the heart of this vehicle is a 5.6 litre V8 petrol engine. Now while there's no diesel in the Y62, it's not as thirsty as you might imagine. And honestly, the thing is silky smooth, it has loads of grunt, and if you're a driver's driver, you're going to love driving this thing.
What must be the most talked about 4x4 of the last 12 months is the Toyota Land Cruiser 300 series. We've got the Sahara model here, and it's a dead set starter for 4x4 of the year testing. But we're going to pass on this one, we're going to get a VX model, which is a cheaper $122,000 car. It's going to be better suited for our judging purposes. All the models are the same, they have the same V6 twin turbo diesel engine, 10-speed automatic transmission, 18-inch tyres, perfect for off-road touring. Can't wait to see what they're like out on the tracks. Land Rover introduced a new model to the Discovery 5 range last year, and it's the P360 model, P signifying petrol. It's a long time since we've had a petrol engine in a Land Rover Discovery. And this petrol engine is their new Ingenium 6-cylinder. It's an inline motor with supercharging and turbocharging to make almost 300 kilowatts of power. It's a ripper of a thing, but it's also a great off-road vehicle. Height adjustable suspension, locking rear diff, locking centre diff, plenty of room inside for the family, 7-seater, beautiful touring car, great on any conditions.
This is a big ute with big luxury. It's got lashings of leather inside, it's got air conditioning and heated seats, all the fantastic luxury items that you'd find in vehicles like Range Rovers and that kind of thing. And that's the sort of vehicle that this actually competes against. And it competes on price too, because this thing's 120k or thereabouts, maybe even a little bit more. But this is a big ute that's got another great purpose, and that is towing. It's got up to 4,500 kilos towing capacity, and that 6.2 litre V8 engine in there makes loads of power and is able to pull just about anything. Caravans, boats, horse floats, you name it. This is the ideal vehicle for towing big loads.
New for 2021 is the G400D. It reintroduces the diesel engine to the range in Australia. It's been missing for a little while. Mercedes-Benz's new inline 6-cylinder turbo diesel is a ripper. It's a 3-litre engine that makes 700 Newton metres. Combine that with the G-Wagon's legendary off-road performance, including its triple diff locks, low-range gearing, coil springs all around and a live axle under the back, this thing should be unstoppable. Land Rover's new Defender has been a very polarising vehicle. People either love it or hate it, but there's a lot to love about it. And now we've got some good diesel engines in them. It's a new 3-litre inline 6-cylinder twin turbocharged engine in this D300 model. This one's got plenty of stuff. Locking diffs in the centre and rear, height adjustable suspension for plenty of clearance. They're great off-road with plenty of vision from within the cabin and heaps of room in the back for all your gear. They're a great touring vehicle. To see where our testing takes us, go back to 4x4australia.com.au and click on the links to follow the videos.